What is up, my dashing dudes? I am the Hans TV, and today I hope that y'all are ready for the pettiest forms of revenge, because we're diving back in to r/PettyRevenge. Our first post for the day comes from Animal9221, the best revenge on the worst landlord. My landlord used to come into my house high on opiates, storming around crying. She let the place fall into disrepair. We'd go without water, there were bugs and rats. She let people move in upstairs who were also addicts, and they stole my laundry out of the dryer and sold it for drug money. When we moved out, we decided to get back a little. My roommate poured a 5-pound bag of rice all over the kitchen, a bunch of flour and cornmeal, and then a gallon of cooking oil. He asked everyone we knew to donate weird sex toys so he could tie dildos to all the ceiling fans. We had about 20 of them. Some donated, some he bought online. Oh god, I hope it didn't go to Bad Dragon. 5 ceiling fans were left on high with dildos flying around them when we left. I, unintentionally, entered a checkout lane the landlord was working in at a grocery store 2 years later, and she threw my produce down the belt, damaging almost all of it. Her manager saw the situation, and she got fired. It was glorious. By the way, there was no deposit to forfeit. We won all the way around. I can just imagine that encounter. Oh, yay, the landlord. I'm in her checkout line. Landlord, yeet! Manager, you're fired. Our next post comes from Sierra Burke 19, School Project Revenge. When I was in my junior year of high school, we had to do a current event each week for our sociology class. Each group got a week through the end of the semester. I didn't really have any friends in the class, so I got stuck with a guy that I didn't particularly care for. Our week was coming up, and we had agreed to meet up one morning before class started, which, as you can imagine, he didn't show. I was pissed, of course, because that meant I had to do the whole thing on my own. As I was researching stories, I came across one that was something to do with condoms and sex. Something to note about my partner is that he was very conservative. So, the day of the project comes and I just tell him to read slide 5. I've got the rest. He didn't question it and just seemed glad to have something to present. Watching his face turn red as he stumbled through the words on the slide was priceless. I could barely contain my smile as he read about condoms and sex to the class. He wasn't too happy with me, but it was completely worth it. Just a PSA to everyone out there, if you're in a group project, do your work so it doesn't reflect badly on the rest of your peers. Our next post comes from Peppermint Carnations. Shouldn't have been smoking away your work shift. On mobile, sorry for format issues. Really long, TLDR at the end. I originally posted this on an Ask Reddit thread, but as I typed it, I realized it fit best here. Edited to be shorter. I can never go back into the restaurant I worked at during high school. A little place that rhymes with bop eyes. If I ever go back, my old manager would have a bitch fit. For context, during high school, I worked a part-time job that was close to my home and school. I thought I had a sweet little gig going. Nope. I worked there for 5 months and hated it so much. My manager, Jessica, was on her phone a lot, but would rage if others were on their phone, even during a dead period. Jessica yelled at customers when they complained about an order being wrong, and would be moaning about her shitty life. She took out her frustration on me, being the newest employee. I would be told to do one thing, like clean the front tables and floor, then yelled at for not standing at the register to take orders immediately. Anyway, I hated Jessica's constant smoking breaks more than anything. Groaning we took too long on our breaks while she constantly stepped out to smoke. After she returned smelling like an ashtray, I would cough since I'm sensitive to the reek of cancer sticks. She'd get really mad about that, but I always covered my mouth and washed my hands frequently at work. On my last day, I just arrived and was tying my hair into a ponytail to put my hat on in the parking lot. I was 2 minutes late as I struggled to get my stupid long hair through the hole in the hat. Jessica screamed, "You're late!" by 2 minutes. I rarely showed up late, and if I did, it was by a few minutes. I was pissed, but decided to just hunker down and press on with the day. It was my mom's anniversary, and she wanted to go out to eat that night with her husband. My mom texted me asking if I wanted her to order pizza since I would be home alone. I had only typed yes when Jessica swung around the corner with a furious banshee shriek. "Guess I'll have to report you!" The restaurant was dead still, since it was before lunch and most people don't eat fried chicken for breakfast, 9 a.m., and I had just cleaned. I knew right then this was the day I quit. A friend of my coworker, Jordan, walked in a few hours, almost noon, after the confrontation with Jessica, and he asked me if I could grab him some snacks from a gas station that's across a 4-way intersection. Jordan is a lazy pothead, so he always asks people to do things for him, even if the requests are ridiculous. This restaurant sat above on a small hill in front of that intersection, and it was pretty dangerous to walk there as accidents happened a lot around there. What no one in the store knew was that during our dead time, I made a few phone calls in the bathroom. The first was to my mom, who I told I was quitting today. Then I called the shift manager at my old job at an ice cream shop and arranged to get my old job back. In total, that took 5 minutes, so no one noticed I was gone. I looked at Jordan and said, "You know what? I'll do it right now," followed by my coworker Xavier excitedly yelling, "Savage," as I clocked out. I grabbed my stuff and Jordan's money and walked out to my car. I forgot to mention that I did have to walk right past her, and she asked me where I was going, but I didn't say anything. I started driving through the parking lot right past my manager on her umpteenth smoke break. I looked her dead in the eye. It felt so good to see the look of confusion, then rage as I drove past her. She was going to have to actually do some work this lunch shift, being short on staff now. Shouldn't have been smoking half your shift away while you were in charge of others. My manager wouldn't let me back in when I came back with the snacks. Jordan did get them though, no worries. Another detail is this building was 2 restaurants smashed together, the other one rhyming with Bop Bonds. I walked over to get that pizza I mentioned to my mom for my dinner. My friend, Caroline, was the manager at Papa Bonds and hated Jessica. She was ecstatic to hear I quit and gave me a farewell present of a large pizza, a 2-liter Pepsi, and a giant dessert brownie. Well, Jessica, you got me a free pizza dinner, so at least you were good for something. Can't get mad at your workers if you're not actually being in charge of them. You'd rather smoke your life away than actually be in charge of your workers who need you there. Our next post comes from Wrath of Cain. I got a police officer ticketed for illegal parking. Hi, I use a motorized wheelchair and half my life is spent reporting awful sidewalk conditions. In particular, cars being parked on sidewalks is a major problem in some of the main areas I frequent. Today, I came across 2 cars parked in the driveway outside of their garage, blocking nearly the entire sidewalk. As I passed by, taking photos from the street of their license plates, I realized that the primary offender, a shiny black Range Rover, had a "Proud Member, Fraternal Order of Police" badge on it. Rather than just reporting it through the regular city channels, I called 911. In my county, there is no separate non-emergency number, and all calls, whether they be homicides or cats stuck in trees, have to go through central dispatch. I sat around for a while, expecting to have to call again because police don't tend to roll on other police. Imagine my surprise when, 15 minutes later, an officer rolls up, inspects the area, and tickets the Range Rover and the other car. I'm so used to having to fight this and actually inform the police on what the laws are in regards of the right-of-way, so this one time ever, I'm just relishing how lovely and easy it was to get this asshole ticketed. Officers are not above the law, and if they believe they are, then they should not be police officers. That's just a power trip. Our final post for the day comes from PSC0425. Almost hit my car? I'll make it hard for you to get out of your car. I was at the local supermarket's parking lot, putting my purchases into my trunk. I have a smaller car. The space next to mine was open, as well as the space in front of it. As I opened my driver's door to get it, this woman in a giant SUV decided that she would park next to me, driving through both open spaces. I get it. It makes pulling out in such a giant vehicle easier. But she tried to do this while I'm trying to get in my car and almost hit my door. Usually, I don't give a blank, but she decided that I had slowed her down an extra millisecond and glared at me. So, I decided to start my car and sit there and watch her trying to wiggle out of her giant SUV, which carries her enormous rear end. She had to extract herself out without hitting my car with her door. Because the parking space isn't big enough for her SUV, it doesn't give her much space to wiggle. It took her many extra milliseconds to wiggle between the cars to get her rear to the supermarket to feed it. My small revenge for such a large blank. Alright my dudes, so we're gonna do a new thing here. So you see those 2 blanks on here, the ones that usually I don't give a blank, and my small revenge for such a large blank? Well, I'm gonna ask y'all to leave a comment down below with what you think those blanks should be filled with, and in my next video of Petty Revenge, I will post this same post with those blanks filled in with what you guys have said for me to fill them in with. So be on the lookout for that and be vigilant with your responses. But with that being said, my dashing dudes, that is going to do it for today's episode of r/Petty Revenge. I hope that you liked the videos and the stories. If you did, I'll leave the stories down below in the description. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a sub, a like, and drop a comment down below with what you'd like to see me read next. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed in the past few weeks. Again, it is really honoring and humbling to know that you guys are liking what I'm putting out, and it really makes me feel good to be able to put out this stuff. I love doing this, and I hope that you're loving hearing it. But with that being said, I will see you in the next video.